took about an hour to move through the metro area, left behind damage that will take weeks to repair.
Like baseballs hitting the roof, and then we started hearing glass breaking.
Cars are smashed, homes have taken a beating from the hail.
2 malls and a hospital have damage and interior flooding. More storms tonight, more on the way this week, and I'm going to walk you through what happened this afternoon.
Hail so deep it required a shovel and left Coors Field covered hours before one of the biggest series of the season.
That's asinine. It's not correct. It's not right.
And 9 wants to know more about a federal law that's helping keep drug prices high. At this hour, storms are still moving across parts of Colorado. Nothing severe out there right now, a big difference from how it was this afternoon. You could see it headed this way earlier today. At that point, it was a bit hard to tell what was coming toward Denver and its western suburbs. It was rain at first out of the dark clouds, then came the hail, some pea-sized, quarter, then golf ball, and some reports of tennis ball-sized ice rocks pummeled everything underneath them. First stop, Edgewater. Some of the worst damage appears to have been west of Denver proper. Lakewood, parts of Golden and Wheat Ridge had a lot of damage. Lutheran Hospital was hit by baseball-sized hail. There was also severe flooding in Greeley and damage to the mall. Colorado Mills at 6th Avenue and Colfax in Lakewood have had roof damage and interior flooding. We have a team report on the damage, starting with Victoria Sanchez.
At the first break in the storm, Denny Cunningham started cleaning up the damage to his home in Denver's Berkeley neighborhood.
So I was just covering the window up with a piece of particle board. It's got like a cityscape on the other side, so at least we have a view.
All the front-facing windows broke from the golf ball-sized hail that shattered glass and damaged his roof.
Mostly you could just see where the grit's been ripped off the shingles.
Just down the street, the roof tiles on the Olinger funeral home crashed to the ground. In downtown Denver, the hail caused more of a nuisance, and snow shovels were brought out to move the piles of ice off the sidewalk.
This is not good.
On MLK Boulevard near Quebec, a more serious issue for drivers. Stalled vehicles as the water rose to the bottom of car doors.
I could sometimes feel as other cars would pass, it would kind of rock my car a little bit. There was just like waves of it coming.
The hail ranged from the size of pebbles, golf balls, tennis balls, even egg-sized. It blew out State Patrol car windshields at Camp George West and poked holes in this house.
When something happens, you kind of realize maybe you'd rather something didn't happen.
Insurance industry experts say if you have damaged property, get in touch with your insurance company as soon as possible.
Document, 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 take pictures of the damage, document what that damage is.
It just looks like somebody had a ball peen hammer and was smashing away at it.
Really have some patience. If we do have a significant storm, the serious losses are going to take priority.
One of the bigger insurance companies says Colorado came in second for the number of hail-related claims in 2016, 14,000 homeowners and 20,000 drivers last year. And it's just too early to tell how expensive this storm will be. Kyle?
All right, I'll take it back. Victoria, thanks so much.
Colorado Mills Mall in Lakewood's closed for the foreseeable future because of this storm. Hail broke through the ceiling, caused major flooding in most of the mall's stores. 9 News reporter Dan Grossman was there.
It makes for an interesting day.
With damage like this on the outside,
This is my car.
logic would suggest it was a good day to find yourself on the inside.
Imagine if you had a rain shower head. That's what it's like coming down from the ceiling of the mall.
Or not.
And there's rain, there's puddles inside the mall. All the stores are closing down. Everything's ruined.
Devindis Smith considers herself one of the unlucky few who found herself,
let's leave the store,
mired in this mess.
Just people like running around the mall, security just like driving by like, don't panic, and everyone's like, yeah, don't panic.
They had pretty decent reason to. Every store in the mall had to close because of up to 3 inches of water, not to mention the thousands of dollars in now well-soiled inventory.
They're just like frantic employees, like I don't know what to do with these like $100 purses.
The mall didn't have much to say other than it's assessing the damage.
Everyone's like running to like the shower curtain aisle.
As for Devin, the only other thing she had to say was,
be prepared, wear a raincoat, have one in the car. Like out here in a tank top and like.
Pretty great that Devin was still able to keep her spirits that high despite the several smashed windshields. The mall says it is not sure when it will reopen, but Kyle, repair crews have already been called in to work on the roof tomorrow.
All right, Dan Grossman, thank you. Greeley Mall. Yep, Kathy Monroe Salome sent us this video of part of the ceiling falling down and water pouring in during the storm. Louis Riojas sent us a different angle. Mall workers put out garbage cans, which worked for a little while. Louis says the mall was evacuated shortly after he took this video. Weather spotters reported seeing baseball-sized hail at Lutheran Medical Center in Wheat Ridge this afternoon. The hospital building and some of the medical offices have broken windows. There's flooding. There are a lot of cars damaged. The hospital says no one was hurt. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation is trying to keep up with background checks for gun purchases after being forced out of its InstaCheck office due to storm damage there in Lakewood. CBI said it will relocate its team to a new space.
It wasn't the size of the hail in places like Evans, it was how much fell. Michelle Voris Reynolds sent us this picture of hail piled up a couple of feet deep. In other parts of town, it was even deeper than that. When that much rain hail fall that fast, the drains and storm systems simply can't keep up. Comeria and 14th was just one intersection that gave drivers an extra obstacle to contend with. Candy Sabin looks at what elements all came together to create this hail of a day.
Severe weather season started with a bang today. Literally large hail coming through windows, the roofs of cars. Multi-cell thunderstorms like those that developed this afternoon in Jefferson County coming off the foothills. We had that warm air rising, that cool rain-cooled downdraft forming right along the edge of a gust front. All that wind pushing the rain along. And then the rotating clouds. No official sightings of funnel clouds or tornadoes, thankfully. But how about the rain? Heavy flooding rain, an inch in less than an hour, and then behind this curtain of rain came the hail. The hail fell across the city for about a half an hour, and some of the reports were unbelievable. Tennis ball size hail in Wheat Ridge, 2-inch diameter hail in Denver, 1-inch diameter hail in Westminster and Loveland. Hello, May should be our wettest month on average, and today it was all about severe weather. And tomorrow we're in for round 2. I'll have details on that coming up.
Tonight's game between the Rockies and Cubs was delayed first by the hail covering the field. The grounds crews used sprinklers and anything else they could to try and get all the ice cleared from the outfield. Then it was nonstop rain, so the game finally had to be called off. Rod will have more on the plans for the rest of the series coming up a bit later.
Even after 95 years on this earth, the power of today's hailstorm left him in awe. Today, a World War II veteran was telling us his story for an upcoming special when his interview came to a sudden stop.
They said we was going to get some hail. Oh my God.
You could hear the hail coming down outside, while inside, Mac McClure was telling us about his days storming Omaha Beach. Mac's going to be part of an upcoming Rocky Mountain Honor Flight, and we'll be sharing his full story with you soon.
The next few hours will bring our biggest weather change in more than a month. I'm tracking the storm.
That includes a shift from a record high in the 70s to snow.
We're watching the plans for the roads.
And which metro counties are under a blizzard warning.
Ride along with airport crews as a plane comes in for an emergency landing.
While searching an impound lot, Denver Sheriff's deputies couldn't see what was hidden. However, a pair of specialty officers found a major stash.
And the ultimatum from the White House to fellow Republicans: get in line now or Obamacare stays.
It's a bit cliche to call it the warm before the storm, but it truly applies in this case. Denver broke a record this afternoon, hitting 77 degrees. The winds outside signal the change moving in. Next comes a huge temperature drop. Anyone who's lived here a couple of winters knows that this is more the rule than the exception, and like many storms before it, whether it rains or snows or How much accumulation will depend on where you are. Radar shows the bands of rain and snow developing around Colorado and nearby states. Snow has already started to fall in some areas in the mountains. Here at lower elevations, we've seen the wind really pick up in the last couple of hours, and rain is starting to fall here in Denver. As temperatures drop, that rain will turn over to snow.
$70 to visit Rocky Mountain National Park. Talk of the entrance fee more than tripling next year.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride. 80 degrees tomorrow, and then the bottom drops out on Thursday.
Child sex trafficking. A closer look at where it's happening the most in Colorado.
Drilling into the debate on oil and gas, the talk about new plans in the North Metro area is going late into the night.
Probably one of the toughest things I've been through.
This racing team lost one of its own on Saturday, then rallied to win on Sunday. A season of emotional struggles has pushed them to the edge of a championship.
And they checked her new home for monsters. Now this little girl is giving back to one officer in need.
America's beautiful public places are seeing record traffic, and it is wearing out infrastructure. The cost to repair and replace it could get passed through your pocket. Today, the National Park Service proposed raising entrance fees at 17 national parks during the busiest 5 months of the year. Rocky Mountain National Park is the only one of 4 Colorado national parks where the fee hike's being considered. If this happens, changes would go into place next year at the start of Rocky's peak season in June. Visitors would see the current $20 per car fee skyrocket to $70 per vehicle per day. A 1-month public comment period on the new national park prices started today. 9 News reporter Katie Eastman talked with park visitors about the fees, including one that will not increase. We're down to 3 days, 13 hours until what is likely to be the most photographed event in human history. The total solar eclipse cutting across the country Monday morning is also expected to be the most shared moment in the history of social media. At this moment, we're seeing a crush of people across the country, including here in Colorado, trying to get their hands on a pair of eclipse glasses to safely view the sun. Next, all those waves of people will hit the highways.
States in and around the path of totality where the moon will completely block the sun are expected to see some epic traffic jams. Anyone doubting those claims should take a look at what happened in Oregon today. Days before the eclipse even happens, traffic was backed up for 30 miles in some spots. Road signs here in Colorado are already warning about the long delays expected on highways leading to Wyoming and Nebraska. CDOT today said the eclipse travel from tomorrow through Tuesday will be the most significant travel of the year. Their simple comparison, especially for Monday after the eclipse, picture 6 Bronco games all letting out the same time onto the same highway. So the delays, they could last for hours. 9 News reporter Katie Eastman got some advice from emergency management teams and AAA.
It might have been a while since you opened up one of these.
Oh, I love maps.
But if you're planning on traveling to get a better view of the solar eclipse, AAA says Bonnie Kossoff
then I can make my choice.
Has the right idea.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that these areas within the path of totality don't have a lot of cell phone service anyway.
I said great.
She's debating which path will get her to the path of totality the quickest.
I thought maybe somebody at AAA would have some feeling about where there'd be more traffic, in which direction. So do you?
Listen, if I could estimate this, I'd be making $1 million.
Whether you're headed to Nebraska or Wyoming, you won't escape the traffic. So AAA says to prepare by planning gas station stops strategically, having enough food and water to last at least 8 hours. And of course, a map not connected to the internet.
But if you'd rather not use those paper maps, you can download a specific area on your Google Maps. So you can use your GPS, even without cell service. Another map that's going to be helpful for you to prepare is from the state's Emergency Management Department.
So we have produced and will keep up to date a map that shows people basically who's looking out for them and let them know that they're supported.
The spokesperson for the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Mickey Trost,
so we have some of those lessons learned. That
says state headquarters will activate an emergency on Sunday. In other areas, will monitor traffic and activate if there was an incident related to the eclipse.
You never know, and that's why we're activating on Sunday.
Trost says the more people prepare, the easier it will be for them to respond to larger emergencies. So for all those people who thought they'd see the eclipse on a whim,
why not?
Be like Bonnie.
Why not?
And plan ahead. Katie Eastman.
Can go anywhere.
9 News.
Emergency responders say they don't expect you'll need overnight shelters, but they'll be on standby just in case. We have been getting some strange questions about the eclipse, and our science guy, Steve Spangler, will answer some of them. We'll also show you the crowds that showed up for eclipse glasses in Arvada today and tell you about 2 giveaways for tomorrow. The all-important question, though, will be, what will the weather be like Monday morning? Kathy looks ahead and shares the eclipse forecast in just a few minutes.
A woman missing, her home ransacked, her car abandoned. Now the search to find her.
A high-speed train crashes on its first run with passengers.
We got cars everywhere and down onto the highway.
The latest on the victims, the dozens injured, and what might have gone wrong.
They told me that Scott tried to put a hit on me from the prison.
The FBI talks about a killer in Colorado's plans for revenge, plus his plan to use a helicopter to escape prison.
A skier loses $10,000 on the slopes in Aspen and explains why he had that much cash with him in the first place.
We've never seen anything like it, but the good news is that we're ready.
A new post office record for packages in a weekend, and it's only going to get busier as we get closer to Christmas.
The days are short, and yet they end in spectacular fashion. The sunset along the Front Range was something. A sweet end to a pleasant day. Temperatures are going to be heading into the 60s this week. As folks start to head out to their holiday destinations, temperatures are going to take a tumble. And we could go from 60 to sub-zero just in time for Christmas. Everything looks great for now across the lower 48, but there is a surge of cold Canadian air headed our way. And that weather, well, it's well below zero, and it could bring some snow. Maybe some that we haven't seen all season. Kathy is tracking it to help us prepare her forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
We're gathering more information about an explosion in Weld County tonight. 2 men were hurt when a camper exploded about 2 hours ago. When deputies got to this property outside Frederick on Weld County Road 21, the trailer was on fire. A 20-year-old man and a 70-year-old man were taken to a hospital. So far, there's no indication that that trailer was on an oil or gas site. Investigators will be out there through the night looking for the cause of the explosion. Can give you an idea what it looks like right now in Washington State, where several cars of a derailed Amtrak train continue to hang over Interstate 5. Within the hour, we received updated information about the people who were on that train's very first passenger trip this morning. 80 passengers and 5 crew members were on board the high-speed train when it left the tracks about 40 miles south of Seattle on its way to Portland. 3 people died, 72 were transported to hospitals. 10 of those people are in serious condition. Charlie and Beverly Hebner, on board specifically for that first trip, said that they heard a strange noise about a minute before the crash.
Tossing and squealing and rattling of the train. It kind of got dark, and I found myself on the floor.
Count your blessings. Yep. Try to live day to day. Keep out of trouble.
And it sounds like some people.
Maybe I should stay off trains.
This investigation is just beginning. A team from the NTSB will be on the scene in the morning. Drivers in that area are being told that the southbound lanes of I-25 where the train cars fell will be closed through at least tomorrow morning.
A shuttle bus from an off-site parking lot at DIA rolled over on Pena Boulevard this afternoon, injuring 9 people. The crash happened about 2 o'clock. The shuttle was tied to the parking spot, which is off of East 56th Avenue. The crash slowed traffic leaving DIA. At this point, it's unclear what actually caused that van to roll over. We don't know the extent of the injuries of those on board.
She was last seen at home. When officers checked a few days later, no one answered the door. A friend then went inside Kimberly Graves' house in Fort Collins and said that it looked like it had been ransacked. Now police are asking for the community's help to find her. 9 News reporter Anusha Roy joins us now from Fort Collins with details. Anusha?
Yeah, Kyle, Kimberly Graves, who is 41 years old, has been missing for 2 weeks now. But we're hearing about it from Fort Collins police now because they're saying they need to cast their net further to help find her. This is where Kimberly Graves was last seen December 4th by friends.
You know, I keep on sharing her stuff on Facebook and just trying to put it out there.
Her Fort Collins neighbor of close to 8 years watched police who marked evidence on the front door.
Oh yeah, they were here around the clock for about 4 days straight.
And his concern grew for his friend. Daniel Cordova says is a mother of 2 whose kindness sticks out.
She'd lend people her car and things like that, you know. let people into her house, let people stay in her extra room downstairs.
Our hearts go out to Kimberly's family and friends right now. We know it's an uncertain and difficult time.
4 days after Graves was last seen, Fort Collins police say a friend asked for a welfare check at her home.
Officers responded to the address at that time and tried to knock on the door to get in touch with Kimberly, but didn't get an answer, and her car was gone.
2 days later, the same friend went inside the house and said it looked like it was ransacked.
Everybody's a little concerned. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Everybody wants more, information.
That same week, police say Graves' red Toyota RAV4 was found at a parking garage near College and Mulberry, and it appeared to be abandoned.
At this time, there's no evidence that we found that it would indicate injury to Kimberly. However, because of kind of the suspicious circumstances, we are asking for the community's help in locating her.
Graves has now been missing for 2 weeks. Police say they've been investigating the whole time, staying in touch with her friends and family, and are now at the point they need more help.
At this point, we really need to cast the net a little wider and find out if anyone in the community has information about where she might be.
She's a real nice, caring, loving person, and just I'd like to see her come home.
Now, Graves' LinkedIn indicates she's a massage therapist, and you heard from neighbors who were talking about her having children. Today, Fort Collins police did not comment on that. However, they are only looking for her, working with other law enforcement agencies as well as hospitals, and really relying on anyone who has any information to contact them. Kyle?
Anusha Roy in Fort Collins. Thank you, Anusha.